I'm going to talk about Magnus Chase, the Sword of Summer. So basically, how it starts off is we meet this character named Magnus Chase, and he's homeless, and he knows only two other people. Those people's names are Hearthstone and Blitzen. And one day, Blitzen warns him that out of nowhere, his uncle, Randolph Chase, and also his cousin are chasing after him for some reason. So he's kind of scared because he hasn't seen them since his mother died, Natalie Chase. So he's a little freaked out. So what does he do? He runs to the only other place, where they wouldn't be because they're looking for him. Randolph Chase's house, which is a giant mansion, which is honestly pretty cool. And there he finds his uncle looking for him, and his uncle tells him, "You need to come with me." And, Magnus is kind of curious because why are they looking for him? So him and his uncle go to the edge of the bridge, and his uncle tells him to call something. And Magnus, not knowing what it was, starts to randomly call something. He kind of feels like a warm sensation. And out of nowhere, out of the water, shoots up a metal pole. Like a rusty old metal pole that looks like it's been there for 100 years. And out of nowhere, this fire giant named Surt shows up and starts to attack Magnus. And so Magnus starts to try and fight him. But for some reason, the heat isn't affecting Magnus as much. And out of nowhere, Surt gets hit with an arrow. But not any arrow, it's a plunger arrow. Shot by Blitzen. And out of nowhere, Hearthstone comes in with a little stop sign attacking Surt. So they all are fighting until Magnus knows that he can't beat this guy. So what does he do? He tells Hearthstone and Blitzen to get his uncle and everyone on the bridge out to safety while he fights Surt. So he eventually starts to fight Surt, and out of nowhere, and they both fight until they both fall off the bridge into the river. And as Magnus is about to die, he sees someone saving him. That person is no other than Mallory Keene, who is a Valkyrie. Now, when Magnus wakes up, all he can remember is someone random saving him. And so what he does is he goes out into this hotel place where he meets this man named Ymir. And it turns out he's actually at Valhalla, where heroes die. And so he takes a look around, and he meets the other people that he's in the same hallway with. And he meets Halfborn Gunderson, a giant, Thomas Jefferson III, and some others. And so, after this, it's time for dinner. And so he comes down and sees the Valkyrie that saved him. And this Valkyrie, turns out, her name is Samar Alabalis. I don't know how to say it. Not Mallory Keene. I was mistaken. Mallory Keene is one of his dorm mates. So, at dinner, there are a ton of new people who have just died. And there's a big screen that shows how they died. And basically what Valkyries do is they choose warriors when they're dying to decide if they go into Valhalla. And basically, what they decide on how to decide that is, did they die while fighting someone or saving people with a weapon in their hand during battle? So everybody goes up. There's other people who have died and got saved by a Valkyrie. And it comes to Magnus, and he's the last. And the people in charge, which are like these kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of like in charge of everything. And they say he's not worthy. And he might get kicked out of Valhalla because of that. And so, eventually, he goes back to his room to sleep. And suddenly, he hears a rustling outside of his window. Not knowing what it was, he went to go see. And who would be there except for Blitzen and Hearthstone, who had climbed what the entire hotel was based on, the World Tree, which is a giant tree that has portals to all the 7 realms. Now, Blitzen and Hearthstone tell him to go with them, and since he's known them for so long and he trusts them with his entire life, he goes with them. And as they're climbing the tree, Magnus Jace realizes he has like superhuman strength. He's super strong. So, what they do eventually is they leave, and and also Sam's with them for some reason. Magnus's Valkyrie, and they go on a bunch of quests to try and stop Surt and Fenris the Wolf, which is Loki's son. And so basically, they're trying to track down Fenris Island and stop Surt from trying to kill him. So how they do that is they have to track down someone someone like Thor. So eventually they track down where Thor is and find him. And so by then, it's revealed that random metal pipe that Magnus had is actually the Sword of the Summer, which is actually owned by his father Frey, who left Magnus when he was a kid. And Frey is, in that world, like this big god. He's like really kind, and he's kind of what brings spring around. And so his sword, eventually named Jack, it gets stronger and it can like fly around without Magnus needing to like make it. So the one consequence of this is anything the sword does when it's not in Magnus's hand, when it returns to his hand, all the effects of what that sword did come back to him. Like when they find Thor, and Thor tells him to kill some giant, and so Jack the sword goes into the giant's nose, kills it that way, and returns it to Magnus. So when Magnus grabs the sword, he's super weak and immediately passes out because, he just killed the giantess. So after that, they go and find Thor's backup weapon because Thor had lost his hammer, and the only way Thor was going to tell them where Fenris Island was is if he got his hammer back. But it wasn't his hammer, it was a backup weapon of his, which was a giant steel rod. So when he got the steel rod, he told them where they could find someone else who would know, because he wouldn't tell them. So after that, they go to the person he said, which are these 2 troll brothers who are trying to kill everybody. So what they do is they have to pay a toll to go to the island where Fenris is kept at. But the group, like Magnus and Hearthstone, know that as soon as they turn their back, the brothers will try and kill them. So once they get to the island, the brothers say, if you want to come back with us, you're going to have to give us all your stuff. And so they say they're not coming back. And eventually a giant fight ensues where they have to try and tie Fenris the Wolf back while Surt is attacking. And since they escaped Valhalla illegally, the head leader of all the Valkyries are attacking him. And so now, after all that, eventually they tie Fenris back, get on the good side of the Valkyries, and go back to Valhalla, where eventually Odin, the god of that world, reveals himself and is like, oh, I wanted Magnus to do this the entire time. So, and then it's a happy ending.